Hello, good evening, and welcome to Upfront. My name is Raymond Akwa. Today, my guest is one of the three people who dragged then President John Dramani Mahama's administration to the Supreme Court, questioning his decision to grant remission to the Muntie Three. But he is the only one amongst the petitioners, in that case, who wants to lead the NDC. After the break, I will let you know who he is, and we'll commence our conversation. Oh, you're welcome back. This is Upfront. My name is Raymond Akwa, and today my guest is Elikplim Agbemava. He's a lawyer. He's an outstanding gentleman in his own right. But it was his decision to not first and foremost go to the Supreme Court to challenge the decision by the President of the Republic of Ghana, then former President John Dramani Mahama, to give some remission of the sentence of the Muntie Three from what used to be clear 4 months to just a month, getting them out of jail within that period. That is what caused him to file a petition at the Supreme Court seeking an interpretation of the powers of the president in granting or remission the specific periods anybody can spend in jail. Today is my guest also because after this case was still being dealt with in the courts of the Republic of Ghana, he made it clear to the NDC, a party he's a member of, that he wants to lead it. He would not contest the same John Dramani Mahama. Elikplim Agbemava, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
I hope you are doing well.
I am, by the grace of God.
How is the campaigning going?
It's quite a lot of work, but we are pulling through.
You are a lawyer.
Yes.
You are one not known to be actively involved in the politics of the day.
Well,
if you are pushing yourself into the foray, is the seat of the presidency the best way to cut your teeth?
it's about leadership. It's about the vision, and how much you love your country. So, if you have that calling, you have that edge, I think that, and you are courageous enough, you will step up and put yourself forward to serve. It's not a privilege, it is service, and it's actually, to some extent, sacrifice. So. We want to leave a positive mark on the history of this country, and we hope that at the end of the day we'll be able to do that.
Interesting. But now you're in court. I mean, you are in court on this matter.
Yes.
How did the members of the NDC feel when they heard that one of their own is challenging then President of the Republic, who had acted in ways that the NDC rejoiced over? I was at the Supreme Court. The people who gathered there, they were very sad that the three were being put in jail.
Yes.
Indeed, they proceeded. Ministers of state signed petitions separating the conduct of the people from the number of months they've been given to spend in jail.
Yes.
The President of the Republic of Ghana acted on these petitions and was pretty unanimous in his mind that they ought to be freed because they've served some time.
Yes. At that point, in August 2016, opinions were very much divided, amongst ourselves, not just the NDC members or the NDC sympathizers. The whole general public, had varying views of what was happening. But, being a lawyer and looking at the relationship between the executive and the judiciary, I felt that, this is something we could do without. In the sense that we need not have a coalition or be on a coalition course with the judiciary. So I thought that it was a matter we could have avoided, but we didn't. And what happened. At the end of the day, yesterday, the Supreme Court really did not rely on those petitions that were signed by all the ministers and all the other members of the public. What the Supreme Court said was that the due process was followed. And the due process in this case is the consultations the president had with the Council of State.
Okay.
So it is important that we make that differentiation. But at that point, in August of 2016, I think it was well grounded that that particular issue was tested in the Supreme Court. At the end of the day, we paid the political price. Everybody agrees that it's one of the issues that contributed to the loss we suffered in 2016. But today, I think that once it has come up, it has helped, the constitutional law of this country to clarify the position of the law on Article 72.
Refresh our minds on this particular matter.
Yes.
First and foremost, there was the Abu Ramadan case, which insisted that legitimate Ghanaians on the voters register ought to be removed because they registered with the National Health Insurance Card, a card that was later on outlawed as a registration identification material in this case. That was the germane issue before court. The gentlemen actually were on the panel of the radio discussion.
Yes.
They made comments they agree was disparaging.
Yes.
They made comments they agree was inimical to the justice delivery system, which was not fair to the people that they talked about.
Yes.
They agreed that was the case.
Yes.
The court finally jailed them for contempt.
Yes.
The complaint of the people who had signed the petition was that the 4 months was way too much.
Yes.
And that we were criminalizing speech. And that it will be unfair if these gentlemen continue to stay in jail
Yes.
for having opinion, regardless of how vulgar it sounded, different from that of the judiciary or others in this republic.
Yes.
Was that what your interest was in questioning?
No, my interest was not in trying to question whether free speech could be criminalized or not. But when we were revising the laws on criminal libel, we did not take away the judicial power, to commit people for contempt. Okay. And there are many acts that can be done, that will be in contempt of court. But of course, free speech is one of those things. So I think that if we want to remove all traces of criminal libel from our laws, we need to look at free speech in situations where we want to discuss decisions of courts and actually be bold and feel free in telling the courts when they go wrong. So
you're not in support of contempt, whether be it in the face of the court or outside the court?
I'm in support of it. The integrity and the independence of the judiciary must always be kept intact. So I'm fully in support of it. But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, we could look at a reform of the law that will not, to some extent, criminalize discussions of, of free intellectual, discussions of decisions of court. The comments that were passed
there were so many people who had commented on the Supreme Court's work and its decisions over the period.
Yes.
This was a vile attack. Yes. This was pretty clear. People who are purpose in their heart and minds, and they have stated categorically that they will not only attack, they will not only rape. They have made reference to the 1982,
I think that
82, what they call a killing of judges.
I think that is no longer. Yes, that is no longer in doubt, and the court found them to be guilty.
But that's not just free speech. That is something beyond that, and you would admit that, right?
Oh yes, I admit it. Everybody agrees that those were statements that were not made in the right terms, where they were untoward, and the court has already passed its judgment on
I get your point, but you seek to say that we should have a review of some form of a sort. What's to can be said? Of course, we know what can be said, right?
Yeah, because you raised the issue of free speech and the perception of some people that
this was criminalized.
Exactly. Okay. So what I'm saying is that we could now zoom in on discussions of court decisions and then say that it's allowed. Of course, it's already allowed. Free speech is already allowed under the Constitution. Okay. But then we create exceptions. Okay. That is why, most of the time, and even in this case, we try to seek subsidiary legislation so that we can bring more detail and precision in our laws. I think that if we are able to adopt more subsidiary legislation on many of the issues that confront us, we will be able to bring clarity and certainty in most of the actions we take.
Do you think that the 4 months given the gentlemen were too much?
I don't think that it was that harsh.
It wasn't harsh.
No, I don't.
4 good months.
So. I don't.
For making comments, the BNI insist they were incapable of carrying out.
Well, those investigations the BNI did and the conclusions they reached, I am not questioning any decision taken by
of course, I mean, this is a reputable security institution.
Yes, but
if they say that they have no capacity of carrying out this, it could clearly be merely boastful comments from young men.
It could be, but at the end of the day, you know, there were other comments that were passed that cannot be repeated here. And what I'm saying is that all those things have been decided upon, and they are history now.
I get your point. I want to understand this because it matters to me. What was your thinking prior to going to court? It matters to me on which leg were you standing on. That as a staunch NDC member,
yes,
or as a lawyer. In your decision to challenge this particular decision of the executive president or the party,
yes,
that you belong to,
yes,
what was the overriding principle?
I mentioned that the overriding principle was to prevent a collision between the executive and the judiciary.
That was imminent?
It was, and it happened.
Really?
It happened, yes, because after a month of the Supreme Court decision, the executive took a decision, you know, almost, you know, let me reversing the decision
the Supreme Court and other courts have put people in jail for so many years. You know that, right?
Yes, I know.
Presidents over the period have actually removed people from jail, so many of them, giving them pardons over the period.
Yes.
Were these also collisions?
I think that the context matters. The pardons that we've experienced in the past are not immediate pardons that give the perception of a retaliatory action.
Oh, okay. So it's not about, forgive me, it was not about the principle of whether or not you can review the decision of the apex court of the land or any other court for that matter, but it was about the timing and the perception people may have of it.
No. You see, before you go to court, you must go or have legal, you know, arguments and legal grounds. Okay. Yes, but I'm telling you that there were varied reasons. One was the imminent collision with the judiciary.
Okay.
The other reason was the perception, the political question of what people would think about the use of executive power. Because remember, Article 1, no, if you allow me to explain the issue, Article 1 is specific that the powers that are given to public officials must be exercised in such a manner that it will be for the welfare of the people. You know, so the question at that point I was asking myself was this remission for the benefit of the whole of the people of Ghana? Because they have a judiciary that exercises the judicial power on behalf of the people of Ghana, and they've done so. And we have a president who has the power to remit those sentences or reverse those decisions by pardoning all those who were involved. And the issue is about the reasonableness of the executive action. So when you look at my case, it was all about discretionary power. You know, and
Article 296.
Yes, and the argument was that, look, there are many people in prison who always express remorse, but they've not been pardoned. Is that how we are going to proceed? How do we select certain people who express remorse and pardon them, and the others who express remorse are still kept in jail? So my point was that we should have about 5 circumstances where we know beforehand that each time we want to pardon anybody in prison, these people in prison will fall under these circumstances, and then they will be pardoned. For example, the man will be may be so sick in prison that it is of no use keeping him there. Okay. Or maybe the family is suffering so much that without him, they could not survive. Yes, we could look at that. Or there may be some other reason. For example, he may be so intelligent, such that the state will stand to benefit if he's out, or more than when he is in prison. These are some of the issues that other jurisdictions look at before they exercise such powers. And
do you think the President of the Republic of Ghana then, John Dramani Mahama,
yes,
actually pardoned or gave the remission in this case because they were NDC members?
I think that it played a role, of course, looking at the pressure that was brought to bear on him. And it was important that we gave the impression that the powers we have was not being exercised only because of somebody's affiliation to power. You know, because we must always be seen to be even-handed in our distribution of state power.
But
yes.
Is there other criteria we use every year, sometimes around Republic Day or Independence Day, to free some prisoners?
Oh yes, the prison law has a section where the prison board is allowed to grant pardon to. So those pardons that are
your
granted,
opinion that those are only decided by the prison board?
Yes, they are actually decided by the prison board.
When John Kufuor decided to pardon Chachu Chikata,
yes, what
was the basis for it?
We were just told that they were being released.
Is it possible? Forgive me. Is it possible that that was not a recommendation from the prison service, the board in this case?
I don't know the specifics of that.
You said you were not told. Were you convinced that it was also the board's decision that was being carried out in this case?
Oh, I cannot be certain because I don't have the documentation that related. But you remember that Mr. Chikata himself was gravely ill. He was gravely ill. He had to be...
But he rejected the pardon, yes.
Oh, that's his personal decision.
Yes.
You know, so...
So you are thinking that it was his ill health, that is why he was pardoned?
I presume so.
Now, let me get the other understanding of it. Were your colleagues in the NDC happy with your decision to challenge your president?
As I said, there were varied opinions.
No, I'm asking those in the NDC directly.
That's what I'm saying.
There were varied opinions.
Yes, you know, I keep on saying that even the president's own lawyer wrote a long article advising the president not to release them. You can check it.
I see.
Yes, you can.
Was that your inspiration?
No, I'm a lawyer. I have my own independent mind.
I get you.
I am able to research the law on my own. And
on hindsight, do you think it was a good move you took going to court?
Pursuing constitutional cases in court are always good moves because win or lose, I've said it, win or lose, there is a precedent established for future action.
Were you happy with the decision of the court?
No, I wasn't.
Why weren't you happy?
Because I believed that the case we put before the Supreme Court was well grounded enough to warrant a decision in our favor.
Why do you think you lost?
That's one of the unfortunate aspects of it. We still don't have the full complement of the judgment with us.
But you heard it in court.
No, it was a 7-minute, what should I say, release, and they just gave us the conclusion.
Yes.
And they said that, you know, they believe that, or they rule that the powers of the president under Article 72 extends to criminal convictions as a result of contempt of court. And secondly, that the specific pardon that was given was in accordance with due process. Full stop. So we don't know what
they argued you were completely wrong. Was that the Supreme Court's argument?
We've not seen that. It was a 5-2 majority decision. So there were 2 judges.
It looks like a very huge majority in this case.
Oh yes, but at the same time, you know, dissenting opinions have, you know, become prevailing principles of law, you know, in future. So let's see how the law develops, you know. And you know, when you go to the Supreme Court, there are so many things that comes into play when they are giving their decision. You know, the Supreme Court is a policy, you know, court. It's not just the law. So at some point, if they feel that maybe, you know, you are sound on the legal, but at the end of the day, you know, in terms of policy, in terms of the mood of the nation, the spirit, the objective behind the law is not in consonance with what you are asking for. Yes, you know. So you make legal arguments in the Supreme Court, but you can also make sociological and economic arguments in the Supreme Court as well. And it's always up for discussion why they ruled one way or the other.
Okay, I want to be clear in my mind.
Yes.
Do you suspect that this ruling was not strictest so-and-so on the law?
I cannot suspect. I have to look at the judgment.
Because you introduced the public policy element to me, that's why I'm querying that in your mind, is it possible? Are you entertaining the possibility? You are of the opinion that your arguments were cocksure, they were prevailing, they were persuasive enough. That's why I'm asking whether it is your thinking that the Supreme Court might have ruled based on some other reasoning except for the law?
Well, it's been a while since this case was put before the court.
Yes.
It's 2 years.
Yeah,
almost 2 years and almost 2 months and over. And I think a lot has happened. And the feeling was that, well, the political price has been paid because for them it's a political question. And it was for the voters to decide. That price has already been paid.
That's what the court said?
So you said, do I think?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
So I'm giving you.
Forgive me.
The insight.
That
You cannot now tend to be quoting.
No.
Telling me to quote the Supreme Court.
No, I'm not saying so. I was thinking that when you move from they,
yes,
from what you thought to they saying something, I thought you had.
It's a presumption because that's what you asked me to do.
I have no problems with that.
Yeah,
I'm very much okay with that. Please proceed.
Yes. So I'm saying that if it was a political question, as they are saying today, of course, then when the question was put, was the decision to grant the pardon, in August of 2016 a correct one? The answer was no in December 2016. So I think that they looked at the double jeopardy, and thought that, because quite clearly, the prerogative of mercy used to be an absolute prerogative, but now that principle has been chipped away. The only remaining complete prerogative is the prerogative of international relations, where you cannot question why a president tries to befriend, another nation and engage in foreign policy, discussions with them. But in this case, when you go to the UK, for example, even in South Africa, the prerogative of mercy is questioned.
Do you think by their decision, the Supreme Court emboldened people who like to make comments like this gentleman?
Embolden them?
Yes.
In what way?
As in, they can take a cue from that.
I don't think so. I think it sent a strong message to media practitioners that we should always be decorous in our discussions. We can criticize, we can point when people go wrong, but to descend into pure insults should not be acceptable.
It's a no-go area.
Yes.
Now, in deciding to go to court, were you acting more as an NDC member or as a lawyer?
No, I was acting as a citizen under Article 41. Did your
persuasions as an NDC member matter in those times? Did you consider the effect?
I did, but
did you consider the effect of the case on your party?
There is no effect on the party now.
There wasn't at all?
No, today, actually, people stand to benefit from this decision. We all stand to benefit from this decision. Those who want to praise former President Mahama are praising him that he was right.
Okay.
There is absolutely no negative, the only negative effect is the insults that are coming towards me.
You have been insulted?
Yes.
Was that after the case? Because this case has been running for almost 2 years. Were you always been insulted?
Yes, before and after the case. Yes.
It's interesting. Let me get this clear. What are they saying? You are saying that you are a traitor.
So you know what they are saying?
No, this is only because when we put up your picture and we were seeking to get people to comment on this conversation, what they expect from you.
Yes.
Some of the comments that came in that, you NDC sought to put NDC boys back in jail. That clearly was a sign of a traitor.
Well, I wasn't working against the party. Nobody was working against the party. And as I said, it's not the party that was taken to court. You will see
One
that
is even now a deputy communications officer of the party.
Yes, but the reliefs I was seeking in court had no mention of them and they had no relation to them.
So your reliefs did not in any way,
yes,
may not, and was not in any way going to lead to putting these guys back in jail?
No, all I was saying is that the discretion that was exercised was not reasonable.
Is it interesting that your suit was in the same league, was consolidated with suits coming from now Executive Secretary to the President and also the Brown-Afro Regional Ghana Bar Association President, who is known to have strong ties to the ruling government?
Yes.
You seem to be the only NDC member with this view of going to court on this matter.
Yes, but why do we want to look at it in the realm of NDC? We are Ghanaians first.
Because that's why the people are insulting you. They're not insulting you because any Ghanaian went to
Yes,
court.
but you and I owe that responsibility to clarify the issues and make them understand that the Constitution did not say that any NDC member or NPP member can go to court. It said any Ghanaian, any person. So if I go to court today to defend the Constitution, which was adopted before the NDC or the NPP came into being, it should not be characterized in that sense. Because if we do that, we are not teaching our children the sense of patriotism.
To stand for principles.
Yes.
To put the nation above the party.
Exactly.
That's what you did.
I did not seek to compare the party with the nation. What I did was to make sure that the principles we've all agreed on and adopted in the Constitution is adhered to.
But you cannot run away from the fact that in doing so,
yes,
it was obviously a decision your party people would not like.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. But I'm saying that when you look at the facts, that correlation is not justified, because at the end of the day, the pardon was granted and I was not seeking for them to be sent back to jail. I was looking at it in the broader sense of the exercise of discretionary power.
So you're saying that, to your mind,
yes,
the court by that ruling couldn't have overturned this pardon?
No, they could have declared it unconstitutional and left it at that.
That means it will be void.
Yes, they could have declared it unconstitutional and not void.
So if the decision that took the guys out of jail is voided, what happens?
No, the Supreme Court could say, but they will not issue any consequential orders. That is it.
That's possible?
Yeah, that's possible. And I didn't seek any...
But they could also say that the guys should go back to jail?
Oh, yeah, they could have said it. They have the power to do that.
Okay, now, it's because of that complaint from people you seek to lead that you are not really in our interest. The question that many have also posed is
No, but let me ask you, did the party support what happened at the radio station?
No, the party has been very clear in their minds on that conduct.
Yes, so why is it that I am taking the same position as the party took, and then people want to hold it against me? Is it because it's only the party that can talk and I cannot talk? Is that it?
That's interesting to know. Now, let me ask you this question. Now you are running for NDC flag bearer.
Yes.
Was it part of your chips at the time? Were you playing a wonderful chess game? Were you seeking, among other things, to bring into some public opprobrium the image of President John Dramani Mahama?
Never.
Really?
Never. No.
You go into court to challenge his decision?
No,
Then later on you filed to be a leader of the party.
Yes.
A position he's equally interested in.
I'm telling you that was not it. That wasn't it.
You didn't foresee that this situation will come?
No, I didn't.
When did you take the decision that you wanted to lead the party?
That was, I think, June.
This year?
Yeah, May, around the 28th day of May this year. Yeah.
Have you always harbored the intention of leading the NDC?
I've always known that I should be part of the leadership of this country, but not specifically president, yes.
Okay, now, so that was not in any way a contributory factor to you saying that this man ought to be put in his right place. I'm challenging his decision.
No, because at that point, who knew John Mahama will say that he has 4 more years to go, so he will stand again? I mean, even right? Yes, because right after the election, he or his family also came out and said that he wasn't going to run. You can check the daily graphic.
We understand.
So
that report was quoting, in some sense, some family members. And
you doubt it?
We were told that it was referencing Ibrahim Mahama. He denied it.
He denied it.
That he was not the source of that information.
Well, that is not a concern of mine. It can be a concern of mine.
But it sounds like it is very important to your decision to run for the president of this country.
It is not.
Do you think people think it's a mere coincidence? The guy who took the president to court is challenging him today.
People can think it's a coincidence. People can think it's not a coincidence. I cannot, what should I say, control what people think.
But I can actually explain to them.
I can explain. I can explain, and they can also take my word for it. But if they choose not to take my word for it, there is nothing more I can do.
Why are you seeking to lead the NDC?
I'm seeking to lead the NDC so that we can have a better party for our grassroots. And every constituency that makes up the National Democratic Congress, the party must serve the interest of everybody. So we are fighting for best practices in political party management, and also to create a strong, vibrant party that can win power in 2020.
Was the President Mahama decision one of the reasons why the NDC lost 2016?
Which decision?
I'm talking about the remission decision, the decision to let the gentleman go. I
think there's a wide belief. There's a wide belief that it was.
Are you of the similar belief?
I think so, yes. I've had people talk to me about it, yes.
I'm asking you, what is your view on that?
That's what I'm saying, that I have that perception. Listen, I have that perception, and I've had people who are not even affiliated.
So you're saying that you believe that?
Yes.
But other people equally have confirmed this decision to you?
Yes.
So there's a widespread belief that the main reason why, one of the reasons, right?
One of the reasons.
It can't be the main reason. I want to believe that. So, so if it's not the main reason, which ones are the other reasons, to your mind?
Oh, generally, there were difficulties, which needed time to recover from. For example, the Doomsaw, that was a Herculean problem we faced. It was solved, but for the economy to regenerate itself to the point that people will begin to forget about the bad effects of it, there was no time for that. So those were some of the issues that affected us. Of course, the 8-year cycle also came in.
That the NDC had been in power for 8 years.
Exactly.
The thing that people did not care whether Mahama himself had been in power for 4 years.
Well, the election results speaks for itself.
It's interesting. Now, the NDC want to come together, unify for 2016.
Yes, 2020.
Now, 2020. I was asking you why you wanted to run. Do you think it's the best time to do so?
Yes. Once I feel this is the best time, it's the best time.
Beyond the constitutional provisions,
yes.
Are you qualified to be NDC flag bearer?
Yes, why not?
What makes you think you're qualified?
The requirements are in the Constitution. You must be a member.
I separated those requirements. I'm asking.
Yes.
Beyond the Constitution.
Yes.
What makes you think you're qualified?
We are qualified because we want to develop the party. We want to bring our
Anybody
energy.
Can do that. Any young grouping can do that.
Yes. So then nothing prevents anybody from also putting himself forward. So let me tell you. So let me tell you.
So maybe I'll phrase it this way so that I get my question.
Okay.
My question is that, what do you think is beyond the constitutional provisions, the other qualification for anybody to get into this position?
One, you must have a strong integrity. You must portray honesty.
Okay.
You must have the ability to manage the affairs of government. You must understand how government works, and you must appreciate the needs of the people. You must have a feeling of the people, and you must understand their needs. And I think I do.
You understand the needs of the people?
I do.
What are their needs today?
They are varied, from the youth to those who are on pension, to the disabled.
I see.
Because employment is a key issue. Corruption is a key issue. Better pension is a key issue.
Employment a key issue?
Housing is also a key issue.
How's employment a key issue?
Employment?
Yes.
There's a large employment deficit. Everybody who comes out of university.
To this large employment deficit is what?
The statistics are bound.
Why?
Today we have adopted the national the NAPCO to deal with the issue, and
Okay, but because statistics are bound, give me one of them that suggests that there is a huge deficit in employment.
The Statistical Service has come out with information that there is widespread unemployment in
They said so?
Yeah, they did.
When?
You can check their reports.
Which reports?
The 2015 report and all those things.
2015 reports? There are so many of them, to be clear.
Yes.
I am a frequent visitor to the website.
Yes.
I know of so many of these reports.
Yes.
Specifically, which report are you making reference to?
I'm referring to the 2015 Statistical Service report.
Sorry, I want to be clear in my mind.
Yes.
Do you know the specific report I'm talking about?
What report again is there?
There are so many reports of the Statistical Service.
Yes.
I want to know, when you say that there is widespread unemployment in the country, I want to know
there is
which
a general report I know about, and
Which
that's
one
what
is
I'm
that?
talking. I'm telling you the annual report. That is what I'm telling
annual
you.
report.
Yes.
Statistical Service has annual report.
What again do you want me to tell you?
Because I wanted you to tell me specifically, if you are talking about, let's say, the GDP release for the year, the
We are
quarterly
not talking
release.
about GDP.
Yes.
We are talking about employment. Yes.
So please, which annual report in 2015 are you talking about?
I'm telling you that when you check the Statistical Service report, it gives you the employment figures.
Okay, what does it
and
say?
it is widely accepted.
So what does it say?
I'm telling you that there is an employment deficit.
Yes. What percentage are we looking at?
I cannot give you the percentage.
And yet you consider there to be an employment deficit.
Of course, why should we doubt that? Today we have programs, JIDA, Youth in Employment, NAPCO, to deal with all those issues. So it is
We've always had
beyond
programs
that.
like that to deal with the issues of employment. in the
Yes, but
country.
I don't know what you are trying to achieve.
No,
Are you doubting? No, are you doubting that there is
I'm seeking
unemployment?
clarity on your claim that there is widespread unemployment in the
Yes.
country. I'm not doubting it.
Yes.
I'm seeking clarity.
Yes.
That's why I sought to know which report you're making reference to,
Yes.
and specifically which numbers back this
That's
claim.
what I'm saying, that you want me to give you a specific figure. And I'm telling you that I cannot give you that figure now.
Okay.
But I know from my readings and the government programs geared towards tackling employment that there is widespread unemployment in this country. That is what I'm telling you. And it is important that we deal with it.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's what you go around, the people tell you. Or you don't go around. Have you been campaigning?
I have been.
Oh, okay. I've been to all the regions.
Not yet.
Some districts, I want to believe.
Yes, quite a few.
What new regions have you been to so far?
We've been to the Volta. Of course, we are in the Greater Accra. We've been to
Okay.
Central. Yes.
Okay, 3 regions.
Yes.
Wonderful. How's the feeling on the ground? Did you think you are the one they want?
Well, I think that people are ready for a new message.
This is the NDC first and foremost.
Yes,
because
yes,
I mean that's the first hurdle you have to cross.
Yes.
Yes. Do you think you're the one they want?
No, people are ready for a new message. And once, of course, they didn't know me prior to my announcement.
yeah.
So if I say I'm the one they want, I'll be presumptuous. But I'm saying
Yes.
that, yes, when we meet them and we present the message, it is very well received, and they appreciate what we have, and they buy it.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, a meeting that starts with uncertainty, and curiosity ends up with acclamation. Yes.
And they end up saying that you are the man they want.
Yes.
All of these regions.
We, of course, not in all our meetings, but we've had very good responses from some of
The people in this case. I mean, let me be clear. I've heard some of your contenders say those behind them. So, for example, Joshua Alabi is very bold in telling that Victor Beho says, I should be the guy to lead the party. Haven't you heard from also other leading members of the party? They are vociferous. Kendra, Senko. They think I should lead the party. Stu Gabra says that the former chief of defense staff is a stout supporter of myself because he thinks that I'm the right person to lead the party.
Really?
Yes. Who is behind your quest to lead the party? Who are the stalwarts who are insisting you are the best chance for the NDC this time around?
There are many people I associate myself with. And
Care to mention some notable names?
No, I wouldn't.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
What the big pin?
No, because for me, that should not be the central message of my campaign.
Oh,
yes,
that doesn't matter?
Yes, because their opinion will just be an opinion of an individual.
We can sway opinions in your favor, to be clear.
No, but
We can sway opinions in your favor.
It may not. What we want to do is to be able to convince on our own, majority of the delegates to vote for us when the time comes. That's
Okay, that's all that matters to you.
That's the most important thing.
You've been describing a report by pulse.com.gh that
Pulse.
Pulse, that you are, and the word they use is a fanatic of the former President John Rawlings. Are you?
What do they mean by fanatic?
Okay, to be fair, yeah, I'm sure what they really meant was that you love the former president. You adore him.
I appreciate what he has done for the nation and also for the NDC.
Yeah.
My appreciation is very high.
And to be fair, when they did that report, they added your picture to it with him in the tete-a-tete. Is he supporting you?
We have his blessing. I went to him to inform him of the decision I want to take.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and
he said, "Go ahead."
Yes, and that he will support me just like he supports any other person in the party.
That's a real support. But I want to be clear. You think he supports you?
Well, he need not stand behind one particular candidate because of who he is to the party. So he has been careful in not doing that.
Okay. Have you heard some say to you before that, oh, well, you are young. You have to bid your time. You have to go through parliament. You have to be a minister. You have to then demonstrate an appreciable understanding of the workings of government. You have to be a government person for some time, appreciable number of years, let's say some 2 or 3 terms of a government. Then you can show proof that you are what it takes to be leading the NDC. Have you heard that claim before?
No. But even if I was told, I wouldn't pay much attention to it.
Really?
Yes.
It doesn't matter to you?
It doesn't. Because there is always a time when somebody begins to do something.
Okay.
You know, and we all have our own parts to chart in life.
Okay.
So somebody may wait till he or she is 70 years before he wants to open his mouth and say he wants to be president. And I'm saying I'm 41, I'm ready to do that. So,
after the break, we'll continue our conversation. Well, folks, my guest today is Elikplim Agbemava, prominent lawyer. He wants to lead the NDC. But more importantly, he's the gentleman who went to court on the Montier 3 matter with 2 other people. After the break, we'll continue our conversation here on Upfront. You welcome back. This is Upfront. My name is Raymond Alqua, and our conversation today is with a man, perhaps the youngest of the people who are seeking to lead the NDC in the coming election for a flag bearer. And he is Elikplim Agbemava. You have a middle name that sometimes I leave out. Forgive me. It's just I struggle to mention it.
That's all right.
Okay. But let me continue our conversation with you.
Yes.
Now, we've been moving beyond what many have said. I mean, I've seen elements of your profile that talks about how you work with the Bank of Africa, former Amal Bank. You provide the legal services. In this space, you are still attorney.
Yes, I'm a lawyer, yes.
Okay. And there's also one element that is pretty clear. You've been a special assistant to the Attorney General before.
Yes.
Which period was this?
From 2009 to 2011.
And especially, what were you specially assisting?
The work of the Attorney General, I was managing her office.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. And the Minister of Education too?
Yes.
Between the same period?
Between 2011 and 2013.
What exactly was your role there?
Assisting the minister.
Assisting the minister?
Yes.
Okay. And this was a government designation, not...
Yes,
right.
I was
a public servant?
Yes, I was a state attorney in the legal service.
Oh,
yes.
okay, okay. That's interesting to know that. Now, let me come to these other things that those who might not know you. So, if you're telling any person who has to vote for you,
yes,
but may not have a fullest appreciation of who you are,
yes,
exactly what are the remarkable things that they can identify you by?
I've spoken to you about our integrity and
that means they have to experience you before that happens. I'm saying from afar. What are the things you've done?
They need not experience me because I've been in public life before and I've been in private in the private sector also before.
Okay. Okay.
You know, I've been working, you know, since we left school in 2003. Okay. And there are people I associated with who know me and how I do my work and how I deal with them. So I think that there's a basis to make that judgment. You know, beyond that, you know, we believe that, and I repeat, the issues affecting the youth is very important.
Get your point, because you made that point
yes.
before, and I have time run out. Let me quickly ask these questions.
Yes.
Some believe that before you contest for some of those positions, you must have a constituency, not
yes.
where you come from,
yes.
but a grouping,
yes.
a huge following. Do you have that particular following?
I don't know where you get that perception from, but you know, what you do is to explain yourself to people, and as you go along, that builds. You know, so there is not a grouping sitting there where you go and pick up and then use in political horse
So
trading.
which constituency do you come from?
I've lived in. I come from Anglo, and I've lived in the Ayawaso West also.
Ayawaso West, Wogon.
Yes, but currently I'm in Adenta.
Okay, you are in Adenta now.
Yes, I was also born in Apitia. So
you are Ghanaian by all standards and qualifications.
Yes.
The entire nation is also except for the northern part, particularly. But let me get this also clarified. I mean, your hometown, the NDC executives there, do they support you?
They do.
They support you.
Yes.
They have pledged support to your cause.
Not pledge, but we speak to them, we explain ourselves to them, and they understand what we are doing.
Now, last weekend, yes. Last weekend's election in the, what they call it, for who leads the party. How did it go for you?
How did it go for me?
Yes.
I had no
I'm asking,
yes.
How did it go? As in, for you, how was the organization? How was the outcome? How was generally the gathering of NDC people to decide the fate of their leadership?
Yes. Well, it started on a good note. You know, it was quiet until we got to the constitutional amendments.
Okay.
You know, affecting the communication officers and all that. And then people who did not want that particular amendment started agitating, and the Congress came alive. You know, everybody began to take particular interest in what was being done on the podium. You know, so it was very exciting and heartwarming to see that people were not just there for the fanfare, but you know, they were really there for work. You know, so from that point, you know, it was really an exciting thing to behold. And I think generally everything went well, except the extended voting time, which I believe we need to look at.
Okay, it has to be reviewed, right? It spent way too long a period, that's what you mean?
Yes, I think so, because we must always think about service delivery and the end user. You know, so if we design a system of voting, we must make sure that the delegate who has traveled all the way from the northern region must be able to vote. If he needs to travel and come, must be able to vote and go back, or stay there for a short period of time. So we need to make whatever system we have user-friendly. Okay,
that's interesting to know. How about the outcome of the elections? Did you have people you thought should have won?
Well, generally, I think that we needed a new impetus, and I think that the line of executives we have reflect that. You know, they are...
I see Niketia was maintained.
Yeah, he was, yes.
Was that a problematic decision for you?
It wasn't. I think that he has a lot going for him. Okay. You know, in terms of experience and achievement, because the election was all about what have you done before for the party, you know. And if he was able to justify that, then he merits the votes of the delegates.
Have you heard the claim that the people who won were predominantly President John Dramani Mahama's people? Have you heard it before?
I haven't, but I'm not sure.
You haven't?
I'm not sure if you put it to him, he will also admit it.
I'm asking whether you think this was the case.
I don't know what relationship they have with him.
You don't know?
No, I can't.
There's a lot of requirement for you politicians, experience, your ability to discern in between the lines, be able to determine some of these things, have intelligence, intelligence in the camps of others to be able to determine some of these things. Yes. You say you've not picked up any of these.
No, but I can't sit in front of the cameras and be making baseless and things that I cannot justify. You know, there may be rumors, but I don't want to be peddling rumors.
Okay, that's interesting. Yes. Now, the seat you're sitting in, the national organizer said he believed that President John Dramani Mahama will win, and you heavily support him to win the next election. Do you think that the leadership of your party, you are going to have a fair playing ground going into your election?
With such statements, I don't think so.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
I've told you that with such statements, I don't think so, because as an executive, you are not supposed to descend into the arena of conflict. you are supposed to stay behind and watch.
Just to protecting the interest of the party. And to him, the interest of the party is pretty clear in this matter.
That is presumptuous. I mean, he need not make that statement. He need not make it. It's totally uncalled for.
Now, this feeds into, President Mahama was predominant here. His songs were being played. Of course, there were like campaign songs. He addressed the gathering twice at the Congress. Was it problematic for you? Dr. Taniedu thinks it's problematic.
I wasn't expecting, any, or should I say, opportunity to address the Congress. It was on the grounds that, somebody actually told me that, look, we told one gentleman that, he should give you guys at least 3 minutes each to speak, and, the gentleman refused. But at the end of the day, what happened was the ex-president speaking in his capacity as an ex-president. And he's part of the Council of Elders.
Yes, but so, I mean, he spoke twice. That's also what some are raising. Or you don't know that he spoke twice?
No, but still, he's an eminent person in the party. He's a member of the Council of Elders.
So he was not unfairly favored on the grounds on the day?
It doesn't really... It's not an important issue for me.
There are some who have argued that the former president has a foothold on the party. Do you think this is true?
If he didn't, I would be surprised.
Oh, really?
Yes, because he's been president before.
So why are you contesting him then?
No, he's been president before. Yes. He's made several appointments, and there are people who owe, allegiance and what they are to him. So, of course, he will have his constituency. But I'm saying that at the end of the day, in a democratic context, it's up for grabs. Okay. We have the opportunity to also present a contrary or a different proposal to the people of
the people we spoke to on the ground. Yes. The people we spoke to on the ground. There was not a single person who did not also say that. Well, we think that this is just another step. The next one should just be a simple goal-in for John Dramani Mahama. Do you get the same feeling when you speak to delegates across the country?
I don't. No.
You don't at all?
No.
They tell you that they are not going for him?
Oh, yes. People tell me that they are tired of the old way of doing things. And I'm being frank with you. I'm not bragging. Yes, that is the reality in the party. But if at the end of the day, people are able to convince people that, come 2020, they are going to do something better for the party, that is it. And that will be good for all of us, because that's all we want. But as it is now, there is an issue at stake. The party needs to be taken care of. The party needs to be organized in a good way, and that's all we are fighting for.
Can the NDC win 2020?
Yes.
Can the NDC win 2020 with President John Dramani Mahama?
I can't answer that question because I don't think that you are being fair to me.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm asking you, can the NDC win that election 2020 with you as its leader?
Yes, of course.
What will change?
What will change in Ghana?
From 2016, 2020, what will change?
We present a new proposition.
Okay.
We are going to say that we are going to ensure good governance. We are going to ensure development, more development for Ghana. And we are going to make sure that the waste that we are currently experiencing in Ghana is cut completely.
Okay.
And we are bringing more ideas. We believe that we should not be making, as a state, money from our tax income alone.
Okay.
We must be making profit from business. So I think that at some point that we went into or adopted the diversity implementation policy, it is time now we have a rethink of that policy.
I see.
We should now begin, now that we have a strong economy, and we have enough money to be able to venture into some of these business ventures, because all the resources belong to the state. We can actually do that and make more money and generate more employment for our people.
I'm counting down. What makes you a better candidate than the former president?
I will not allow you to draw me into any comparisons.
Oh, no,
because he's not the only.
Really going to be our comparisons.
Yes, because he's not the only one in the
choice between yourself and himself, yourself and Joshua Labi, yourself and that of Elikplim Agbemava and others.
Yes, but I don't want you to reduce this interview to what should I say, a question and answer on me and one person.
Okay,
You need to broaden the discussion.
So what makes you better than the rest of the candidates?
I am telling you that we have a plan to develop Ghana, to create more employment for Ghana, to develop the youth, make them leaders rather than, tools in the hands of people.
I'm taking a message, forgive me, I heard you, but I'm taking 2 messages. I want you to respond to them. This one says that, well, King Egil Abuada, seriously, I wish you go and find a constituency and get a letter and represent Parliament and stop this. And the other one says, I said it, the NDC is confused. Maybe this one. Prince, we know you are an MPP guy, so I'm not surprised you're supporting the traitor. So the comment is MP, not presidential.
Well, you see, people will always have one view. Yes, one view or the other. So
because I'm going off now, we'll do this conversation again. And I'm sure we'll continue with the conversation. Well, folks, that's where we tie the nice ribbons on today's edition of Upfront. Thank you so much for watching.